Had a really busy week here, Kevin. It's been a big news week in Greater West Bloomfield. It started off with a nice sunny day on Monday that then led into a gas leak at the end of the day, or near the end of the day for those that end their workday on the earlier side around 3:30 when a gas main had broke in West Bloomfield. It caused a closure in a major thoroughfare and a couple of major thoroughfares in some of the residential areas of West Bloomfield Township at Maple and Farmington Road. That took a couple of days to resolve, and of course earlier on this week on our Wednesday edition of the program we were able to report the good news that Farmington and Maple Road were back open for regular interaction, and then on top of all that, the remnants of Hurricane Beryl coming through our community, all of which causing a lot of stir in the community, a lot of buzz in the community. And to get the pulse of what the residents are thinking, we'll bring in the third member of our team, Tieast Leverett, with us also on the Splash on this Thursday. Tieast, welcome, and let's just start off with what happened earlier on this week with the gas leak, because that not only was a gas leak from a gas main break, that caused some traffic issues too. What have the people of West Bloomfield really been saying about that from what you have heard?
Yeah, for sure, Tyler. So as you mentioned, busy week here in West Bloomfield for a lot of reasons, and especially with a major thoroughfare like Maple being down for the count, if you will. Fortunately, selfishly for me, I usually take my son to some summer activities right in that area, but I had something to do on Orchard Lake, so I took a different way on Monday, or else I would have been impacted as well with the traffic. But it's good to see that everything's kind of back up and running. But it really shows the impact that one small thing can have in a community like West Bloomfield, for sure.
Yeah, you've got the pulse on the community because you're a resident also, not only a member of our team, but you're a resident, and you talk to people in the community, and you're active in the community because you're an active person in the volunteer space in our community, but also because you have a lot of contacts in the community. How has this, from your perspective or from their perspective, especially that gas main break earlier this week, really affected the flow of normal things here in West Bloomfield over the course of this week?
No, great question. I think one of the things that had major impact, especially for that gas leak, was the timing, right? It hit right in the afternoon, Monday afternoon, when things are shutting down, people are leaving work. A lot of, again, afternoon summer activities are going on with families that use Maple to get to and from. So I think both the timing and the impact of having to really shut that area down was major for us. Also, just hearing from other residents talking about some of the things they had to do to circumnavigate when things were shut down, and how it caused a lot of delays, getting home, if you will. So you just really hear from people, just understanding when you have a major thoroughfare like that gets shut down, how that changes people's schedules, but also how people have been able to use, their Google Maps in their mind and figure out different ways to get around that. People had to be a little bit creative to deal with that this week, for sure.
And then by the time that was all resolved, Tieast, we had the heavy rainfall coming.
Yes.
Earlier on in the week, the forecast was the remnants of Hurricane Beryl. They're going to be here on Thursday. They're going to be here Thursday early morning. It'll probably affect your morning commute, and then it'll be out of the way. Then suddenly Mother Nature, Michigan weather comes into play, and we get hit with it right in the middle of the morning commute and the work day. I mean, we got off the air here at 9:30 on Wednesday, and the first thing I heard from Kevin off the air is, wow, it's really starting to pour
Torrential.
out there. How was that for you in West Bloomfield and for others dealing with that rain and what came from that on Wednesday?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a monsoon quality for sure. A lot more than I think people were expecting. I know, obviously, we all were aware that we're getting the remnants of a hurricane that was very significant, and definitely positive thoughts going out to the Caribbean and people in Texas who were impacted. And we knew that was heading our way for sure. But I think it was a little bit more than a lot of people expected. For my community, I think pretty much everybody was okay. There was no flooding in our actual neighborhood, but I think it really makes you think about how you can be prepared just in terms of your household. I have had water in my basement before. This time I did not. But it made me go double check my sump pump and kind of walk around the perimeter of my home to make sure that we were good to go. But in terms of just, again, another major impact to the commute and to driving around the community, I know a lot of the roads were flooded and you weren't able to get, where you wanted to get while waiting that out. Also, you have to think about safety in terms of driving in conditions like that. A lot of times you're just going to have to pull over, wait things out, don't drive through deep water. So a lot of things that you have to really think about and consider when you're inundated like that, especially when it's not expected.
Well, Tieast, we thank you for your insight on this as someone that lives in the community, that's very active in the community, and is able to talk to a lot of people every day about these things that are happening, get a different perspective than we do, looking at these from the outside looking in and trying to dive into it. You are in the middle of it. Any other things we should know at this time that the people continue to be talking about, or what the pulse of the community is on these issues from this week?
I think, what we talk about oftentimes, especially I've heard it on the splash many times, that when major things, whether it's a gas leak or a lot of water or people getting their homes flooded or having to do something different because of conditions, just how neighbors have helped each other. I've heard of people going to each other's homes and, helping to bail water out if needed, or when power went out or cable went out, residents sharing, sharing their signal if they could, or saying, hey, come over and wait things out. So I think it just, again, speaks to the nature of the West Bloomfield community and us helping each other even when unexpected things like this happen.
Well, Tieast, we thank you for your insight, and thank you for joining us. Glad that everything was safe on your end through the heavy rainfall earlier on this week, and that you were able to get a kind of a lucky break taking an alternative
Yeah,
route
this time I
on
did.
Monday with that. So thank you for your time.
All right, see you, Tyler. See you, Kevin.